Welcome, welcome to the Sharpe Way. I'm so glad that you guys have come this evening. And the best part about it is tonight is a special Sharpe Way. Yes, it is a special Sharpe Way. I am talking today, really about, I'm trying to touch people who have kind of gone left and they supported Bernie or maybe still support Bernie, and they feel like what Bernie has done is they feel like Bernie has abandoned them. They feel like Bernie has sold out, right, and gone to the dark side. They feel like there's no place for them now because Bernie's gone. Well, you know what? I get it, but we don't have to go that way. In reality, I can help you. Yes, I can. I can talk to you about the things that the Bernie supporters want. If you're a Bernie supporter, I hope you pay attention and listen. And if you're not a Bernie supporter, I hope that you can tell your Bernie supporters that there actually is a way. There's a Sharpe way. There is a way to still get what you want without having Bernie, that Trump won't do for you, and that Biden won't do for you. I can give you some ideas that I think will make you feel like someone out there actually does care. Like someone out there actually does want to make things work for you. As always, please, guys, like, comment, share, let people know that I'm doing this. Let people know that I'm out there, particularly those Bernie bros that you might know, or people who like Bernie. Let them know I'm talking for them, to them tonight. I'll take questions and comments if I can. I got to tell you, Bernie's got a lot of policies. So for me to go over all of them in one show, I'm probably going to have to do 2 or 3 shows. It's that much stuff. He's got a lot, and I'm okay with that. He's got a lot, if at all possible. Please follow me on these things. Let people know, and I will touch them all. I'm happy to go through all of them and with all the issues they want. I'm going to go right down on his website. And if you like what I'm saying, you want me to keep saying it, no worries. If you've got some cash, awesome. If you're in a good spot, head over to patreon.com/sharpeway. Show me the love. If you don't have cash right now, and I get it, it's tough for a lot of us out there, just like, just comment, just share. It does matter. I really want us to be able to make that happen. All right, so let me start talking about some of these things. All right, so did someone just say my title's a dad joke? Yeah, it is, but I'm a dad. I get to do that. So I want to touch one of his biggest issues off the bat, and that's the Green New Deal. Now, in the Green New Deal, most of the time people who think about the Green New Deal think about government making sure that everybody's safe. That's it. The government steps in, does everything. But what I look and what I believe people who want the Green New Deal, what they actually want is a safer, cleaner, fairer environment. I believe that's what they want. Yes, that's what they want. I get it, 100%. And we can do that in a libertarian way that the others won't. The number one thing we can do, and this is several parts, so please, some of you beat me up on one of them. One part is not enough, but many of them actually is. Number one, we can end subsidies to all of the energy industry, all of it, and all the subsidies, all of them. You might go, wait a minute, Larry, are you going to end every single one of them? Yeah, because if we begin to end all subsidies, government subsidies to all of the energy industry, by default, it becomes a consumer-driven industry. Therefore, all you Bernie bros who are going to be out there protesting, saying, I don't want this, I want that, guess what? It'll work. Because there'll be no government to prop up industries that you don't like or want to support. Removing all subsidies from all these energy industries will allow you, the consumer, to say, I don't want this, I want that, I support this, I support that, and it will actually work without government interference. But it isn't just energy. That's part of it, but it isn't the only thing. The thing is telecom. Great. Let's break all the monopolies in telecom right now. And all these monopolies, by the way, are all government-sponsored monopolies. So if we stop these government-sponsored monopolies, we allow smaller new tech to come in, we allow people to jump on board and to put in 5G or whatever is the new cool thing of the day. Now it's 5G, but who knows what it'll be in the next week or month or years, whatever it is. We allow them to now come in different areas to make things better, to make things faster. Smaller companies, newer companies, we encourage technology, we encourage some competition to get things to work better. How do we know that will work? We saw that in satellite. And that kind of shook itself out, and then telecom took it over. There's something else. This was more controversial, but it will help in the long run. We can reduce regulations on nuclear energy, allowing for newer technologies to come into play, people to research it into a way that might actually work or may not, but it allows us to open us up to start new jobs, new tech jobs in safer nuclear technology, which is a far cleaner fuel than all the fossil fuels. And if you don't like it, again, if we stop with the subsidies, and if your area, if your state, if your county doesn't like it, then it will work because you won't want to work for them, you won't support them, it won't happen. But if your community goes, hey, we're happy to have a brand new type of safe, which the safe for nuclear energy now, actually it's virtually impossible for it to melt down. We want that new kind of nuclear technology in our area. You can get it. You can get it. You don't have to rely on fracking if you rely on fracking or fossil fuels or solar power. You can work on whatever you like. But that still isn't enough. One of the biggest issues you find with the Green New Deal is people talking about, well, how's it going to be safer for people and how are we going to make sure there aren't ecological disasters? Yeah. First thing, end the EPA Superfund. Most of you who don't know this will be surprised. Some of you do know this. But one of the major reasons why there's all these horrible places that never get cleaned up is because of the EPA rules and regulations, right? One of them is, and there are many of them obviously, but one of them is there's a Superfund, and everyone who's part of this puts some money into a Superfund. And then when there's a problem, a massive oil spill, a horrible disaster, whatever the case may be, the company only has to pay X dollars. Then the Superfund pays the rest. Well, guess what? No money in the Superfund. So nothing gets fixed. That's why we have all these horrible places sitting around not getting repaired. The Superfund's supposed to fix them. There's not enough money in them. They don't get fixed. That's a government problem. We end the EPA Superfund, things change. Not just that. We make it easier to break the corporate veil and to hold individual decision makers responsible. Yeah, individual responsibility. Crazy libertarian ideal. Imagine if you're the CEO, director on the board of directors, you're the executive, whatever you are, and now you know if you make a decision that's going to trash some town, destroy the water, insert thing here, you don't get to hide behind, I'm a corporation. No, we break that corporate veil. It's you, brother. It's you, sister. You did it. You're going to be in trouble. Add on top of that, a special environmental victims unit. Yeah, I said victim, because libertarians are always about victims. If there's a crime, there's a victim. And if you're poisoning someone's water or destroying someone's land or property, yeah, there should be a punishment for that. Right now, there isn't. The government protects them. Yeah. How do you know that? You see what happens. If you've been around, what happens? Some big company does something bad. We get mad and scream. There's some lawsuit, which they then settle, and no wrongdoing. Wrongdoing means it and break any government rule. Yeah, oh, sure, they poison and kill people. Absolutely. But they didn't break any actual rule, so there's no wrongdoing. Remember, the heavier the regulation, the more the crime is now against the state, not against the individual. So this heavy regulation actually makes the victims less important. The more we pull it away and make a special victims unit and break that corporate veil, now that guy or gal made a decision that hurt somebody and that person can in some way, shape, or form be made whole. Right now what happens? The person joins a class action lawsuit. It takes 12 years to settle, and each person gets $4.95. Meanwhile, the lawyers, all of them make tens and hundreds of thousands, and the government gets a check. That's how it ends now. If we go with the old style Green New Deal, that will continue. You go with this, you actually get safer, cleaner environment, and you get what so many Bernie people want. Actual justice. Actual justice. The people who made the bad decisions that hurt people and created victims, they get punished. Yeah, that's what I want. More opportunity, less monopoly, no subsidies. Your consumer, your local area gets to decide what goes in, what doesn't go in. It changes everything. The last piece. But Larry, how are we going to get, 5G, or how we're going to get better this into communities that don't have many people. No worries. We have to allow corporate sponsorship. Remember the idea of leasing naming rights to public transportation and public infrastructure. We do that, and we will have companies wanting to have their names on new cool things. How do we know that? We see it everywhere. So, Larry, how are we going to get high-speed rail, whatever the case may be, right? Well, it isn't Amtrak. Amtrak's government run, and it's a disaster. What if it wasn't Amtrak? What if it was, I don't know, Verizon gets to sponsor something. McDonald's gets to sponsor something. Right? Oh, I get to sponsor a new cool thing? Yeah. They'd make sure it actually runs on time. Otherwise, they're embarrassed. They're going to run it the right way. They're going to make sure it works. If it doesn't work, they lose the contract. So why don't we instead allow this? How about saying, look, there's going to be a corridor, I'm making this up for the sake of argument, between D.C. and New York. How are we going to make that corridor work well? Who wants it? Who wants it? Kellogg wants that? Okay. You want that? Awesome. You're going to sponsor it. It's got to happen within 2 years. Make it happen. Here's the specs. Good luck. And as long as you do it, you keep it for 10 years. Now they're sponsored. We're running the Kellogg's line. You might hate that name, but we'd actually have cleaner energy. We'd have more effective, more efficiency than we have now. That's for sure. This is an actual Green New Deal that could actually work. And less expensive for you. No more taxes. No extra taxes whatsoever. Less government spending. Less government bureaucracy. And you'll actually get a cleaner, safer, fairer environment and justice. If you're a Bernie supporter, I hope that made sense to you, because Trump's not going to change anything, and neither is Biden. Trump's had 4 years. Biden had 8 with Obama. Neither of them have done what you wanted. If they were going to or had, you wouldn't be supporting Bernie. You'd be supporting Trump, or you'd be supporting Biden. You're not. I'm telling you, the Libertarian Party is here, and we can have that answer. It absolutely can work. And it doesn't have to cost any extra money. And it doesn't have to involve force. We can create a better environment where you can get what you want. I'm sorry, I yapped. I wanted to cover that to make sure that that everybody heard that. So yes, it is a dad joke. Absolutely. And are you crazy? Yeah, I think I am crazy. Yes, absolutely. So I do want to make sure that, look, I think it is fair, Dennis. I think it is fair, right? And because it allows you to choose, local communities choose, there's no force, and it's consumer driven, right? And look, there's a big 5G issue, right? Oh my God, we're going to be microwaved, right? I have no idea if that's true or not. To be forward, I don't have to know if that's right or not, because Kevin, with this plan, you get to decide that in your own community. So if you don't want 5G, your community can say, no, we don't want 5G here. Okay, don't have 5G. Your fault if it's not good, and you're a hero if it microwaves you or whatever it does. I hope it doesn't microwave you. Whatever the case may be, right? So that's the problem, right? That's what I'm trying to get at. We can get people what they want, how they want it, with an actual good a plan, right? One of the questions we're hearing about Gary Johnson's campaign was a lack of spreading of wealth and helping down ballot candidates with exposure and support. Unlike Johnson and most of the other candidates, Gary and yourself have run global office. Great. I said, what can you mind doing, Chris? Okay. Yes. Thank you so much, Nicholas. Talking about burning people today. I shouldn't have clicked that. Sorry. I'm not talking about burning people today. Yes. But yes, of course I'm going to help out low people. Come on, guys. Do you think I don't help the down ticket? That's all I ever do, right? That's all I ever do. I'm on satellite internet and cheap Samsung track phone. I hear Larry just fine. Thank you, Preet. I'm glad you can hear me. But that's my point, right? Satellite also was an issue, right? People weren't ready for that. One of the reasons why the telecom monopolies got so angry is when they wrote and when they bought those monopoly deals from the government, and be clear, they bought those from the government. When they bought those monopolies, they weren't thinking about satellite. So they weren't happy. Absolutely, they weren't happy. Tesla's rail. I love this one, Dennis. Tesla, while, look, I love Elon Musk. I think he's a smart, great guy. He's also one of the best government grifters there are. I mean, there's very few people who grift government like he does. He is amazingly good at that. He has taken a whole lot of our money to build his stuff. So at least he's giving us one away for free. Awesome. Thank you, Elon. You're giving us something back to us. I appreciate that. Good, well done for you. Now, if he's giving that back, why can't somebody pick that up? Well, some big company sponsorship could do that. And now we can get that rail. Now, if that rail's good, people could do it. If that rail's not good, again, I don't have to know if it is. If that rail's no good, then no one's going to pick it up. If that rail's great, then someone picks it up, and we get that amazing. Rail. We get it, and that's what I'm talking about. So, all right. Some people like this. I'm glad that. Let me see if I can get a couple of these. The Green New Deal is anti-American, but not mine. Not mine, Kevin. Mine is good, right? It's not unconstitutional because it's all voluntary and it's all less government. Absolutely, 100%. And what if 5G gives us superpowers? That would be amazing, Bryce. I hope it does. That would be awesome. I love that idea. So let me keep going if I could. Please, guys, do the VP stuff later. Talking about cooking potatoes on the 5G. That's what I'm talking about. Yes. All right. Let me keep going on for this if I can, so I can get all this. I do want to keep going. Okay. I hope that was a good way of dealing with the Green New Deal. I hope you guys enjoyed the idea. Hope it made sense. But that's not all. Another big piece of what Bernie, yes, thank you. Another big piece of what Bernie supporters are trying to achieve and what they want is they want Medicare for all. You heard it 1,000 times. Medicare for all, Medicare for all. Trump is not going to do Medicare for all, and neither is Biden. So if you're a Bernie supporter, you're not going to get that, right? Not going to happen. Absolutely not going to happen. I get it. No worries. What you actually want, I hope at least, is not really Medicare for all. You would take it, obviously, but I think what you actually want is quality health care for all. I do too. And we can make that happen also. And as a libertarian answer to having high quality health care for everybody, we can do that without Medicare for all, because you're not going to get Medicare for all. It's not going to happen. Again, just being clear for you Bernie supporters, Biden's not going to do it. Neither is Trump. So those two things are not going to happen at all. But here's what we can do. We can get good quality health care for all. That we can do. We need a first piece to understand. There is a difference between health care and health care insurance. And the sad part is when we're talking, they are talked as one, as if they're all the same, right? Healthcare insurance is healthcare. It is not. They are two separate things. The healthcare industry is one thing. The healthcare insurance industry is another thing. So first, Obamacare. Obamacare was not healthcare reform. It was healthcare insurance reform. Two different things. So you might say, well, I want Medicare for all. That's healthcare insurance reform. Great. We actually already have Medicare for all. We do. It's called the VA. So we have an example of Medicare for all in the VA. And the VA is not a good service at all. I'm a veteran. I know that. If you're a vet, you know that. And don't get me wrong. There are some gems within the Medicare system. That's true. And if you've seen the gems, you know something else. They fight against the system to be the gem that they are. The system itself is not a great answer at all. So we have to fix both. We have to healthcare insurance and healthcare. Both. First piece. How in the world can we begin to fix Medicare, healthcare insurance? Well, there's a couple things. Well, first we deal with the Medicare piece. Medicare for all. People often say, well, Medicare for all, that's like they have it in Europe. That's not really the issue, to be very forward with you, because in Europe, they haven't outlawed private insurance. They have a two-tiered system. And if any of you are European or watch from Europe, you can post if you want to. It's true. They have a two-tiered system. You can have Medicare if you want it, or their equivalent of government insurance, but you can also have what's called supplemental insurance. That's kind of already happening in New York City. And for those of you, and a few of you I know who live in New York City, you know there already is a two-tiered system. It's hard to find popular or good doctors who actually take Medicare or even Medicaid. Very few of them do. Most of them take no insurance. And the best doctors are starting to take, in New York City, I don't know about your city if you don't live in New York City, are starting to not take insurance at all. You go to a doctor who takes insurance, doctor's office takes insurance. And most of those doctor's offices are being bought up by hospital groups because the system is so bad on getting paid that doctors can't make any money. This is the first time in our history where it is a fact, and if you can ask people, fathers and mothers are telling their sons and daughters, don't become a doctor. It's not worth it. That wasn't happening before. This is why you find so many doctors in America who aren't born in America. Because that idea of my father, my mother was a doctor, those days are going away. Because they don't want to do it anymore. It's so horrible. They'll be bought up by hospital groups or big doctors groups because they can't survive on their own. Unless they're very wealthy, right? The big expensive ones. So if you go to a doctor's office that takes insurance, right? There's 2 doctors, there's 5 administrators. 5. They are worried more about taking your insurance card and photocopying it than you. You're secondary. You go into that waiting room, there's lines that are bad, the waiting room's old and tore up and nobody cares about you. The magazines are 3 years old. Your appointment's for 2, you get seen at 3:45. You're seen for 10 or 15 minutes max, and every time you're done, every single time you're done, you end with either a prescription, a procedure, or a test. Why? Because that's how that doctor gets paid. So that's why it always ends with a prescription, procedure, or a test. Every time. One of those 3. Absolutely. That's how it works. Your doctor gets paid if you're sick. It is in your doctor's best interest for you to be sick. If you're not, he or she is not getting paid. That's critical. That doctor's not getting paid. And you're getting booted out as fast as possible. Why? Because you're not the customer. The customer is the insurance company or the governor. Or the government. The insurance company or the government is the customer. You are in the way. You're treated that way. Go to another doctor's office. Instead, another doctor's office that does not take insurance. You swipe your credit card or write a check. Right? Either those 2. There's 5 doctors there and 2 administrators. The exact opposite. You show up, they're like, hey, glad you're here. Looks nice, awesome. You sit down, have a good time. Your appointment's at 2 o'clock. You get seen latest 2:05. Latest. And when you walk into that place and then talk to the doctor, she asks you questions like, how were you sleeping? What's your stress levels? How are you eating? What's going on with your personal life? All those things. They actually care. They give you time. Why? You're paying for it. You swipe the card or you pay by check. You're paying for it. They give you the time. They ask you questions. They don't care if it ends in a test or what doesn't matter to them. They don't get paid on that. It's relevant. They care. They might say things like, go home and get some sleep, if that's the thing to do. Obviously, I'm not a doctor, or whatever that might be. This is the broken system we have now. So the question is, how do you get everyone to have that type of experience? How do I get everyone? Poor, rich, middle class, working poor. How does everyone get the second thing, not the first? That's the key. I don't want Medicare for all where we're not the customer. Because in the second place, where everyone is better, it's because we're the customer. It's all built around us. In a Medicare for all piece, we're in the way. Does it make sense? First piece, we have to have transparency. Let's think about this. Here's how this works. Imagine, if you would, for a second. You get a brand new job. And your new job, congratulations, by the way, you come to me, you come to Larry Sharpe's clothing store, and you come and you want to buy some clothes. So you come in and you say, Larry, I have a new job. I want to get a new suit, new shirts, new shoes. I go, great. I get it all together, put it all together for you, give you a great outfit, and go, there you go. Perfect outfit. You like it? You go, yes, Larry, it's perfect. It works well. I go, awesome. You say, great, Larry, how much does it cost? I go, I don't know. You say, what? I don't know how much it costs. But you just gave me the perfect suit and clothes and everything. Yep, I did. Absolutely. How much does it cost? I don't know. Tell you what, take it. It's great for you, perfect. Go home, and about a week or so, a bill's going to come. I don't know what the bill's going to be, but whatever that bill is, you got to pay it. That's current healthcare. How is that okay? How is that even the thing? That shouldn't exist. You have to have transparency in pricing. That's done a very simple way of doing things by saying anyone who gives a service, retail, to a consumer, whatever that is, buying a car, buying clothes, toothpaste, whatever you're going to buy in your life, pricing must be transparent. Well, Larry, how can you do that? It's impossible to do. It's healthcare. They do it for a car. Bring your car in, X dollars for a checkup, Y dollars to repair it. Why can't you do that? I'm not saying take away insurance at all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is pricing should be transparent. Because here's the worst part. If all of a sudden you don't know what the pricing is, well then their pricing is guessing. They're hoping to get reimbursed. They're purposely raising pricing. If you guys don't know, the current cartel system, and again, this is not a joke. This is a current cartel system. In the current system, there are people in a room who decide on pricing. It's not by the consumer or the market who decide on pricing. They sit in a room and go, how much for aspirin? I don't know, 20 bucks for an aspirin? 40 bucks. We can do 15, you're fired. We can do 25, you're hired. 25 bucks for an aspirin, 40 bucks for the cup that the aspirin goes in. If you've ever seen itemized pricing, you know I'm not joking. That's real. They just make these prices up. And the goal is to pump it as high as possible so insurance will give them as most so they can fight you when the time comes. And if any of you have ever in any way fought insurance, oh my God, you see how it is. It was 20 bucks, but now it's 300 bucks. Now it's 3,000 bucks, but they'll take $200. It's back and forth. This is what happens now. But imagine if pricing had to be transparent. So before you go in, they're going to tell you, by the way, every aspirin is $20. Every cup for the aspirin, 20 bucks. You'd say, are you high? What is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? We have to make it not illegal, not just illegal, we have to make it legal and straight. And the way to be, you have to tell the prices off. Once that happens, guess what will happen? Pricing will come down by default. There'll be lawsuits and insurance companies will hate it. Of course, we have to do that. First thing is transparent pricing. Period. Again, no extra money, no extra laws, no extra taxes, no extra regulation, just transparent. That begins to happen. It'll come down. How do you know that, Larry? How can you say that? How do we know it's true? Because there's another health industry that's right next to that industry where this actually happened. None of this am I making up. This actually happened. And what? All non-essential medical. LASIK eye surgery, body enhancements, cosmetic dentistry, all those types. There's no, you have to have transparency there. And in every single case, 100%, pricing has come down, service has gone up, and more people are able to get it. In every single case, not 90%, 100%. The government controls essential, disaster. People going bankrupt. People can't get health care. Oh, horrible. Bad service, high pricing. Right next to it, also health care, also operations, also drugs, all those things, also anesthesia. The same things happen in essential, happen in non-essential, and lower pricing, better service, more people get it. I'm old enough to remember LASIK eye surgery when it first came out. When LASIK eye surgery first came out, they were charging you per eye because it was so expensive, you could only afford one eye at a time. Now, people get it all the time. Drive in, come out next day, come out the same day. You ready to go. Way expensive. This can work, will work, has already worked. But Larry, it's not essential. So? You're still cutting people open. You're still using anesthesia. You're still using drugs. And somehow, non-essential is no less safe than essential. In fact, more people die from essentials than non-essential all the time. All the time. And guess what? Insurance covers that too. Meaning, if they mess up, make a mistake, you still cover. So first step, transparency. Second step, follow the non-essential rule, which is, why do we require any certificates of need? This in itself will begin to help fix the actual health care system. If there are no certificates of need, and for those of you who don't know this, in most states, I know in New York for sure, but I think most states there's a certificate of need, which means You can't put up a medical facility unless the government says so. Why does that matter? For what possible reason would that make any sense at all? Why? Somehow, again, LASIK eye surgery, cosmetic dentistry, they figure out how to service their communities of government intervention. Why in the world can't we do that for regular medical? We can. Allowing more people to come in, breaking those monopolies, breaking those cartel systems, lowering the price, allowing people to get better service. This absolutely can work. Now, how do we deal with the actual insurance piece? Well, two things we can do here. Number one, right now for Medicare, we don't have to get rid of Medicare. We don't have to get rid of it yet. It can go away anytime you want to, but you should keep it. It is a safety net for people that we already have. Fine, keep it, but very simple. Here's how we begin. Number one, if you're on Medicare now, Medicaid now, we know if you're on Medicaid right now, you about how much money you're going to spend. Already, the actuaries have put down the amount of money. People fit in the categories, right? You're between age of so-and-so, so-and-so. You live in this area. You're this gender. You have this issues, pre-existing conditions. Odds are you're going to spend X dollars every year. They know this already. This is already done. They have this data already. They've already put in categories. And some people are angry about that, but it's true. Great. We already have the data. So I know that the guy or gal that you are going to need about $5,000 this year. Awesome. Put that on the card. It's called a healthcare debit account. It's on your card. You go there, swipe it. You can use that card anywhere you like. Anywhere. Doesn't matter. As long as it's a medical facility, anywhere you like. You want to go to the coolest doctors? Go. You want to go to the Medicare doctor? Go. Go to any doctor you want. You got whatever, $4,000, whatever the number is. So you go there, and you go to the cool doctor. It's a doctor who, when you get there at 2, get seen at 2:05, who spends 45 minutes with you, who asks questions, who doesn't give you an automatic procedure. You sit in a nice waiting room. You go, man, I like that. I want to go back to this doctor. Because once you run out of your $4,000, you go back to regular Medicaid. You go right back to regular Medicaid. Which means you got to go back to Medicaid doctors, which you don't like because you like the cool doctors. So what are you going to do? Well, two things you're going to do. Number one, you're going to try your best to be very judicious on how you spend your money because you only got $4,000. You're not going to want to spend more. So you want to make sure that you get your doctors the way you want it, very judicial. But not just that. You might sometimes put some money in your own pocket to go back to that same doctor again. You might. More important. The second that happens, all the doctors who don't take insurance will realize, whoa, hold on a minute. There's a market for me. There's a market. I can get people who have Medicaid to come to me now. There's a market for that. I am now going to lower my prices and market to that group of people also. It's another form of revenue. I will market to that. And if I market to that, now I'll begin competing for that. As we all begin to compete, prices go down. And here's the best part. It's a debit card, which means zero. And when I say zero, it means no administration for it. No paperwork. No filling things out. Nothing. It's a card. And we keep going. Done. Brings all costs down. Medicare costs down. Medicaid costs down. Doctor costs down. Admin costs down. Everything starts coming down if we do that. And it allows people to say, I don't want to be in Medicare anymore. I'm going to find a way to get out. And in fact, if the doctors come down low enough, we don't need Medicare because it's the second piece we have to add to this. This is the first piece, the second piece. Again, I know there's a lot to this, guys. I know there is. But this is a huge issue. And you're not going to get Medicare for all. So I'm giving you another option that will give people, all people, high-quality health care. That's what you really want. Last piece, encourage and go out of your way to make sure that we help out with community health groups. And second piece, telemedicine. We should be helping out and pushing telemedicine and community health groups. Those two things, right? Telemedicine, first piece, this is the easiest one, right? It's working out for some people. For people who are homebound, people who don't need to go off and do these things. Telemedicine, cheaper for everybody. And if you know what's going on, easy for everybody. You can email stuff back and forth. You can do this right now, talking to people. You can see x-rays, all kinds of things. You can get your records back and forth. Telemedicine can work very well. We have doctors who are half telemedicine and then half in the office. lowering prices, lowering costs for everybody. Awesome. But not just that. Community health groups. What do I mean by that? There are systems now already in place where a bunch of doctors get together. 3, 4, 6, 8 doctors, whatever, get together. And then they decide it's almost like a Costco model, maybe even a gym model. It's basically a weekly or monthly membership. So everyone who's part of the membership, say it's a family, an individual's $300 a month, a family's $500 a month, or whatever the case may be, right? Whatever that might be. Family is $500, individuals $300, or whatever the numbers are, right? And that's who we are. We're a doctor group. It's 3 of us as doctors, 2 administrators. You come in. As long as you're a member, you can come to our facility anytime you want. $5. They tried this free, and what happened was seniors kept showing up every day. They started using it as a social club. So they had to charge something. They charge $5. $5 to come in, whatever you need. We have 3 doctors here. One's pediatrician, one's OBGYN, and one's a general practitioner. Whatever those 3 might be. So now all of a sudden we're there, and you can see whatever you need for $5. Make an appointment, come on in. Whatever it is. An hour, 5 minutes, whatever it is. Now, what happens if we're really good? Well, the 3 of us who are really good, more people will join. And as more people join our group, we'll make more money. We know how much money we're making because it's a monthly recurring amount. So we can buy more things, do things, help things. We can do that, of course. We can also hire more doctors. So we hire a doctor. We hire a special cardiologist. So now you get a cardiologist. You want to see a cardiologist. Guess how much it costs? $5. Free cost. Because it's the same. More people grow. And our goal now, our interests now are aligned. In the current model, you need to be sick for me to make money. If I'm not giving you procedures, if I'm not giving you prescriptions, I'm not giving you tests, I don't get paid. You need to be sick, damn it, or I can't pay my bills. But in this model I'm talking about, I want you to be healthy. Because think about it. I'm getting the same amount of money whether you show up once or never. My hope is you never show up. My hope, it's a gym model, right? I hope you are so healthy. I'm going to be going out of my way to tell you how to eat, how to sleep, your stress level. I'm going to be doing yoga classes on Tuesday morning via telecom, of course, because I want you to be calm and cool and collected and not be sick and be healthy and keep paying your monthly $200 a month, whatever it is. Keep paying it. That's what I want. Now, what happens when all of a sudden I make so much that we buy an MRI machine, put it in the basement, hire a technician. You want an MRI. What's the cost? $5. Doesn't change. We own it now. And the guy or the gal who's the radiologist or whoever does the job, they're on staff. $5. Keeps going, keeps growing. But Larry, what about people who are poor and can't afford? They can't afford the $500 or $300. They can't afford it. No worries. Now government can step in again to make things right. While encouraging that and helping to do this with telemedicine and this, they will also say, tell you what, we have a bunch of people who we say are poor. The government says is poor. And the government can decide whatever it is, right? It's families who are eligible for school lunch. I'm making it up. Government can do whatever it feels. Who make less than X dollars. Whatever. Hey, hospital group, if you take these people on free, up to 5 or 10%, whatever that is, of your total group of people, we're going to make sure you pay no payroll tax at all. No payroll tax at all. Now, if you're small, it's 2 of us, payroll tax probably doesn't matter. I may not do it. I'm a big hospital group. Yeah, I am. It's massive savings. Massive savings. I'll take them on. Of course I would. If I got, 800 people in my group, now I'm going to take 40 on who are poor. Those poor people get exactly the same awesome service as everybody else. And all they have to pay when they show up is $5. That's it. Why? Some people can't afford $5. Stop. It's a lie. Of course you can. You got a cell phone, your nails are done. You can afford $5 to go see a doctor, right? The only people who can't afford $5 to go to a hospital, to go to a doctor, don't have an address. And those are homeless people. We have to work on them separately. It's a whole separate issue, and they have to be dealt with also. We got to help them too, of course. But this is for poor, working poor, and middle class. The wealthy, they've got it already. They don't need this. They're good. Wealthy are covered. They're good. But this actually can work. We do these things, and we can actually provide quality health care for all without falling down the same Trump or Biden trip and without doing Medicare for all. You can do it. Absolutely. Let me grab a couple of questions if I could. A lot of you are talking. I do want to make sure I go through some of these if I can. All right. Many folks in the Democratic Party supported Bernie for this corruption in politics, campaign finances. I'll deal with that in another case, Nicholas. I appreciate that. I want to try to stay on these issues. There's so many Bernie issues I want to cover. As a general rule, the biggest issue, and I'll cover this now because you asked, the biggest issue we have with campaign finance is Citizens United. The more rules you have with Citizens United, they're all gone because they will always hide behind super PACs. So campaign finance reform, as long as we've made PACs people, is irrelevant. Excuse me. We have to somehow change the Citizens United ruling. If we don't do that, we're never going to fix this problem. Your point's a valid one. That's the linchpin. That doesn't change. Campaign finance reform is just a show. It's theater. I hope that answers your question. All righty. Yes, transparency is everything. Yes, transparency is critical. How do I tell us? Yes, that's how government works. Absolutely. We need to make sure that works, right? Look, we can fix this, right? In medical. We do it other ways. We can do it in medical too. Here's how it works. It costs X and it costs Y. Now, would there be exceptions? Of course. I'm not saying insurance goes away. I'm not saying that at all. In fact, if we start with this process, what would happen is most people would go to just catastrophic insurance, right? Because if it was catastrophic, obviously you go to specialists, there'll be insurance for that. But with this idea of the community health group, the doctors could even do house calls if they thought it was appropriate. And many would, if nothing else, just to support their people and to care about the people around them, right? If there's 5 doctors in a group and one person is on chemotherapy at home, they might send their oncologist over there to do it for them. Why not? In the current rules, I don't know about other states, but in New York State, if you're a hospitalist, meaning you work in a hospital, you can't do a house call. It's against the rules. But if it's a community health group, you would do what's required for your people to make them happy, to support your customer, because that individual customer is your customer. They need to be alive and healthy. That's your goal. If that means you go to the house, you go to the house. Absolutely. So businesses are free to pay for people to be able to use. Yeah, this is an important piece too, right? We want to make sure that if this is the gym model. Some people are in the gym every single day, right? Using everything up. And some people show up once a month and still pay. It depends on how you feel, right? Absolutely. Yes, Brian, you're right. In most states, it's illegal. Absolutely illegal to advertise medical services. It's so horribly stupid. Absolutely. Greatness does come from competition, 100%. Yes. I know that we believe in free and open market. We don't do it, Kevin. You're right. We're supposed to. We don't do it. We absolutely don't do it. So let me keep going for a couple of these. You'll see company sponsor names and everything like they already have in some movies. This is part of it, Dennis, right? If we have corporate organizations sponsor some of the infrastructure, there's so much of you've all seen it now. We're all home. We see all the media being made, all the movies, all the shorts, all the specials, all the series. They're all being made. They're all being made now. Tons of them. So much being made. And as they're being made, they're doing shots of New York City or shots of LA or shots of Chicago. Insert thing here, right? Well, that gives you by default product placement for free. Well, not for free. You're paying to have the infrastructure. But still, Google Maps. Google Maps won't say the 59th Street Bridge. It'll say the Kellogg's Bridge or the 3M Bridge. It'll say that. Yeah. Well, I don't like how that looks. Okay. How else we get out of debt? If you have an answer, I'm open. And I mean that seriously. If you have an answer, I'm open. This is the answer I have. I want us to get a cleaner, fairer, safer environment. I do. That's the Green New Deal. I want us to get high quality health care for all. That's Medicare for all. But I'm going to do it without paying Green New Deal prices and enforcing Green New Deal laws. And I want to get it without Medicare for all rules and regulations and ending all private insurance. I want the same thing, different way. And I think sponsorship in many ways is a way for that to happen. You know, that's a way. So how come insurance companies can afford commercials during all major sporting events? Yeah, that's a great question. I agree. And you know what? How about we have them, instead of doing that, take some infrastructure instead? And some of them have, right? Some of the insurance companies actually have already named football stadiums. So how about instead of name a bridge or a thruway or a light rail tunnel, or insert thing here, Matthew? You're right. They should. I'm in. Yes, they absolutely do. Certificates of need limit everything. They're nothing but bad. Nothing but bad. All right. It is kind of cool, isn't it? Come on. This was a good one. People tease me about this, right? Can't feel the burn. Maybe it's not sharp enough. I'm telling you, it is sharp enough. It's absolutely possible. All right. Bernie never planned on being president. All about keeping fundraising money and keeping it. I'm not sure that's true, Stefan. I mean, a lot of people are corrupt that way, but I mean, I know I've run for office, and they watch the funds that people go on my stuff all the time and check out where I spend my money. So I'm not sure it's that easy to say that. He might have done it. I mean, I don't know him at all. If anything, he might have done it to become more popular. Maybe that's possible, but he was already popular. I've met a lot of people who've run for office. Many of them. I've been one. A lot of people, when they begin to run for office, they believe their own hype, right? They surround themselves with people who think like them, who believe in them. Many of them are sycophants, and they begin to believe their own hype. A lot of people believe their own hype. I tried very hard to not believe my own hype. At least I saw it, and I was more conscious of it. And before in my own case, when I first started running for governor, I thought I had a chance of winning. I know people laugh when I say that, but it's true. I absolutely believed I had a chance of victory. I was just talking to somebody about it today. I really believed when we first started running, I had a chance of victory. But it became obvious at one point I couldn't win. I mean, there was a point where I went, okay, I can't win, but what impact can I make? So at that point, I had changed to impact. I think Bernie believed he could win. I could be wrong, but just from the people that I've met and the things that I've seen, a lot of people, when they surround themselves with that bubble, they believe their own hype. So, Stefan, I don't know, but my gut would tell me he probably believed his own hype. That's what I would think. Okay. Eric, you made my night. You made my night. Just one person saying you're thinking about voting Libertarian. That's what this is all about. Getting you to believe that there may be another way. Now, you might not. I hope you do. You might not. But the fact that you would think about it is what I wanted to hear. Because in reality, and this is specifically out to people who are Bernie supporters, believe it or not, we want the same outcomes. It's how we get there that we disagree, right? And I hope many of you see it in what I'm saying and how I'm bringing this up. We actually do want a lot of the same outcomes. The difference is how we get there. That's the issue. And I hope you're seeing it. I'm trying my best to make that happen if at all possible. So, yeah, the telemedicine, to be forward, Jimmy, is not, it shouldn't be required. For some people, telemedicine is not going to work. But it's basically non-existent. It's not encouraged. In some ways, it's stopped because of privacy issues, right? So I want us to have it available to people who think it's the right answer for them. First off, people in rural areas who want to get some of the best doctors. And sadly, if you live in a rural area, most of the best doctors, not all obviously, but most are in big cities. So how does someone, again, my whole premise of Medicare for all, people talk about that, I don't want Medicare for all, I want quality health care for all. That's what I want. Quality health care for all. Well, if your quality guy, the guy specialist you need is in New York City or San Francisco or Dallas or wherever that person is, I don't care where you live. I want you to be able to get on that phone or do a Zoom call or do this and talk to that specialist that you need and say, I got a problem, doc. How can I fix it? And I want her to go, you know what? Send me over your x-rays or whatever. We'll check them out on the screen now, or your test results. And I want her to go back and forth with you and go, here's your issue, here's what to do, and I have specialists that can now help you in your area. Done. Done. Now here, lack of internet access. Yeah, in theory, but what if you broke the corporate monopoly, which now is not valuable, right? Why, when companies like the Comcast of the world bought the monopolies from the government, to be clear, they bought the monopolies from the government, they weren't thinking things like satellite and Verizon wireless. They weren't thinking that stuff. They thought it's just them and they could buy a monopoly. Well, it isn't as profitable anymore. So they're not giving the good services to roll out to areas now. So end those monopolies, end those government-sponsored monopolies, end all those subsidies, and instead say, you want to, you want some way of marketing? I tell you what, 3M. Why don't you run this thing, and to do that, put 5G in this community? You can have a name of this bridge. You can run this interstate, and to do that, put 5G in the community. Done. Easy day. Well, we won't call it 5G. We'll call it 3M's 5G. Perfect. I don't care. Right? No matter what, you can find a way of doing this. Right now, it's failing. What people often say is, yeah, but it's not perfect. The poor people suffer. They're suffering now. Let's not measure this plan against magical perfection, which doesn't exist. Let's measure it against what's happening now, the status quo. And Shelley, it's hard. I agree. I wish it was easy. It's not easy. None of this is easy. But it's all possible. It's all possible. And even if we get even close to this, it's better. Absolutely better. 100%. I hope I can answer your question. So, I love this idea about the money and lobbying power of medical healthcare industry, how we level it up. Yes, Joe, again, not easy. But the point is, if you notice, everything I ask is simple and doesn't require new laws. The way that the lobbying works is they adjust the actual law. In this case, I'm not asking for new laws. That's how you get around it. I'm not saying, let's have a new Medicare plan, which will be full of pork and full of lobbying money and full of cronyism and be full of horrible regulations and all types of paperwork. You're right. No, everything I said doesn't require that. I'm a libertarian. I'm trying to have less laws. I'm trying to remove barriers and encourage good behavior. I'm allowing people to do things. That's how you get around it. I'm not trying to pass new laws. If I'm trying to pass new laws, you're right. Doesn't fly. 100%. Doesn't fly. And when they decide to start hammering, right, as an executive, what do? You veto. Make those people have to override your veto. Only for one reason. If you override the veto, now who did it becomes more public. You can now point out who they're owned by. And a lot of them won't want that because they'll be afraid of losing in their own districts. So you find a lot back down when it comes to the veto. So that's how you get around it, Joe. I hope I answered your question. Yeah. At what point is the cure worse than the virus? Already, Kevin. Already. Yes. So a lot of red tape to get past. Yes. Yes. Again, Dennis, this is my point. If I remove more, this becomes easier. I appreciate that. All right. Let me see if I can go a couple more. Is there a reason for Google Fiber provide what? There's a reason Google Fiber provided great service for cheap, but told the government for us to do it. You get out of our way. Yes, I think that's absolutely correct. Yes. Shine a light on it. Exactly right. It's what I always talk about. You got to shine a light on it, and that will make things work. All right. Let me keep going. Sadly, there is even more. I mean, I wish there wasn't so much more, but there is tons more. I could probably be here on for 6 hours. There's so much that the Bernie Bros or the Bernie support. I should call them Bernie Bros. That's not appropriate, is it? Is Bernie Bros, is that supposed to be only guys, or is that like a gender neutral thing? I actually don't know. So if I'm insulting somebody, I apologize. I'm not going to use Bernie. I'll do Bernie supporters. It's a better phrase. I'll try to be good. It's a better phrase. Bernie supporters. How about that? This is mostly for the Bernie supporters. So I'm trying to be better with them and letting them know. By the way, guys, as I'm telling you, keep like, comment, and share. Something else I'm asking you to do. This really matters. Go to my Sharpe Way YouTube page and click subscribe. Go there now. Sharpe Way, not Larry Sharpe. Sharpe Way YouTube page. Click subscribe. Go to my Twitter. Follow me on Sharpe Way, not Larry Sharpe. Go to my Sharpe Way Facebook. Like, the more of these I have, the more of you who do it, the more they show more, the more people see this. So it does matter. Go. If you've got some cash, go to patreon.com, throw a couple bucks my way at Sharpe Way, patreon.com/Sharpe Way. If you don't have any cash, I get it. No worries. Don't bother. Please like, comment, and share. That's free. That's free. Do that so I can keep growing this page. It's important that I grow. So yes, Bernie supporters, I know are here. I'm glad they're hearing it. I hope they understand the two things I mentioned. I see the Green New Deal as a safer, fairer, cleaner environment. I see Medicare for all as quality health care for all, and I've shown you ways of getting both. I've shown you ways of getting both. All right, so college. This is the next thing. Free college for all. That is another piece for Bernie. I hope that what they actually mean is success for all. Again, I'm changing some of the words because I think what they actually mean is different than what they're saying. I don't think people actually want college for all. I think what they want is success for all, and for the average person, they believe college equals that success. I would ask the average college graduate who's under 30 if that is true. And I would bet over 50% would say no. It isn't true. College has not been the be-all and end-all for success in this country for at least 20 years. And we've been living that lie. It was. Don't get me wrong. It was. And one of the reasons why college education was so critical is because it was scarce. There used to be a joke. Well, you're smart. College boy. Remember that from the 50s and 60s? Oh, college boy. You're so smart. Yeah. It's not necessarily the answer. It is an answer. I'm not, to be forward, I'm not anti-college. People sometimes think I am. I'm not. But there's college. There's work. There's trade schools, right? In my state, New York, oh my God, the average tradesman in New York State's over 50. That's a problem. The average, I'm not against 50-year-old tradesmen. Some of them are amazing, right? Of course. But the average should be 30-something. That should be the average. The 50-somethings shouldn't be doing so much damn work. They should be training the 30s and 20-somethings to be better because they've been through it already, right? That's what should be happening. Sadly, most of the 50-somethings are actually doing the work. It's a problem, right? I don't want that. What I really want us to be thinking about is success for all, which means I don't want everyone to go to college. I want those who go to college to go to better college, number one. And those who don't go to college to not be pushed into college. Think about this. You have people who go to college because they're pushed into it. Why are people pushed into college? There are two important reasons why, and they're related. The number one reason is our culture and society has said, if you don't go to college, you're a failure. It's the only way to success. That's a lie. It's been a lie for 20 years. But that's what our society says. Oh, you didn't go to college? What college you go to? What college you go to? So our society is saying that. But why is our society saying that? One of the reasons is they get pushed from K through 12 to go to college. Why do they do that? Because they get federal funds, and the federal funds decide how valuable their high school is by the number of people who go to college. College placement is a way of them being validated to get more money. Yes, they are literally bribing your kids' school to shove them into college when they shouldn't be going to college. So they go to college, and the bad part is going to college is itself the goal. What a terrible idea. You are literally teaching kids, show up for 4 years, which actually now it's 6. The average kid takes 6 years to graduate college, and you're awesome because you showed up. No, not at all. What if the college sucks? What's the college's punishment? Nothing. None. There's no punishment. It's a crappy college. Or they give you a degree that has no value. What's the punishment? None. None. And the worst part is, the loans you took out, the government guaranteed because they're going to put you in jail if you don't pay. What a terrible idea. So here's the biggest issue to having better college. Number one, Remove all federal involvement. Period. Let me say it one more time. Remove all federal involvement. Period. Feds don't put any money into high schools, so they can't push you into college. Feds don't guarantee any loans, so they can't push you into college. What happens? If you're not being pushed into college, what will colleges have to do? They might have to lower the pricing. Whoa! But not just that. They'll have to produce something that the consumer wants. There's the issue. We have created an environment to where colleges by default get the government pushing everyone to them so they don't have to be good. Does that mean there aren't good colleges? No, not at all. Does it mean that there aren't good colleges? Of course there are. Of course there are. 100%. But why can't we make all of them that way? We can. If the government stops literally bribing schools to push kids into college, then giving kids free money to go to college, colleges will have to all be better colleges. And guess what? They will. Or they'll go under. No problem. And I'm sure colleges are good. And those colleges will get better. They'll get better. And better doesn't mean, and people think, well, better, what does that mean? They're going to have better teachers? No, it means giving the kids what they want to be successful. I look at free college for all to be instead success for all. Some people go to college because they want to learn how to think. They don't get that. Some kids go to college because they want to learn a skill. Some kids go to college because they want to be happy. Some want to go for advanced degrees. They're all the right answer as long as you are happy and successful in why you went to college. It doesn't matter. As long as you go, I went to college to learn this. Awesome. People tease go, well, you got a liberal arts degree? If that's what makes you feel good and that's the reason why I went to college, what's something else? Why does a liberal arts degree cost the same as, say, a science degree? A whole lot less in costs. A whole lot less. There's no equipment in a liberal arts degree. Massive amounts of equipment in a science degree. Massive amounts of equipment. They should cost more. It doesn't. Why? It's not a free market system. It's not a consumer-driven system at all. If it was an actual system that was driven by consumers, some of those would be more expensive, some wouldn't, because some would have more value in the market than others. Less people would want X or would want Y. It would change how people go. Less people would go to college, and the price would have to come down. Of course it would. Of course it would. You know, and I think I hear, well, parents want them to go to college. Why do parents want them to go to college? Because everyone around them tells them to. That's the reason. Everyone tells them to. It's the way. It's the way. This was true, by the way, in an industrial world. The K through 12 model is also an industrial world model. It's a model that says, keep everybody in the room for 8 hours and then do what you're told, stand in line, do what you're told, obey the rules, do everything as I tell you, and then go. And in the industrial world, that wasn't a bad system. You were leaving, you were going to a factory to what? Stand in line, do the same job again, listen to authority. It kind of worked. Now, this is a post-industrial world. This is not helpful at all. I tease the K through 12 people often. In most K through 12 schools, even teachers, they say, well, no, this person deserves an individual grade for individual work, things of that sort. And they get mad when kids share. In fact, almost all kids share. When I go to schools, and I'll talk about this. The first thing I'll do is when there's kids and adults there, whether it's high schools or colleges, and if there are parents there, first thing I'll say is, how many kids here share their homework? And they'll look around and be scared. No, it's okay. It's fine. I know you do. Just if you do, put your hands up. Hold the hands up. So sometimes, like, someone does the math homework, then someone does the science homework, and you guys share. Like, yeah, we do. Teachers and parents. Oh my God. Guys, that's the world now. And we're finding that out with the COVID virus. As everyone works from home, we're sharing work. That's the model now. You work together and you share. That's the model. That's how it works in most companies and most organizations. That's what happens. Has school caught up? Most haven't. Most haven't. It's backward. So's the colleges. They're backward. Not all. I don't want to attack all colleges, but many of them are backward. The sad part is Most of the teachers actually get that. Most of the teachers, not all, there's some bad teachers too. There's no great teachers, of course. But most of the teachers actually get this. So the college teachers have to fight to get what they want, and they often do because they get tenure. They will often get what they want. Not always, but they will often. Sometimes their environment will even crush them. When it comes to K through 12, they are fighting such an uphill battle. Oh my God. The amount of federal interference in K through 12 is insane. There are places in my state where there are more administrators in a district than there are teachers. Administrators have a separate room, a separate building far from the kids. So it's all the admin costs that make everything expensive, and they're controlling teachers. So teachers, I bring this up all the time. I'm sorry, teachers, if I'm going to get tired of hearing this, but I'll say it again. Teachers now, particularly in K through 12, have to have insane amounts of education, credentialing, all these things, tons of it, right? 5 years of this, 3 years of that, credential here, credential there, pass this test. Then they go in, ready to go. I'm a teacher. I love this. I've been through this. I did, side-by-side teaching. I was an assistant teacher. I was a subject teacher. I'm ready to go and do exactly what I say when I say to do it. Don't do anything special. Why did you have the teacher get all these credentials? If you're going to dominate and tell them what to do as an administrator, why? It makes no sense. If you're going to do that and control every aspect of what a teacher does, why have them be qualified? Hire high school graduates, make them drones, and tell them what to do. Why are you hiring a highly qualified, dedicated person to follow your exact rules? Makes no sense. Either let them teach, that they spend all their time, energy, and money learning how to do that. Let them teach, option one. Option two, don't make them get qualified. You're going to tell them what to do anyway. It makes no sense. Drives me crazy. So I'm sorry, I went crazy, but what I meant by that is it's the administration that is the cost. It's the administration that is the problem. Pull the federal government out and let this work. Now, there's a second part, though. Second part, and that is debt. There is a lot of college debt. So much college debt. In fact, the federal government, in theory, is the largest borrower, the largest bank in the world, in theory, because it gives us so much money. Tons of money. Lots. How do you get around that? Okay, here's the issue. We can let them go bankrupt if we want to, number one. And I know people get angry when I say that. You can't get bankrupt because the banks get screwed, blah, blah. Let's be honest with each other here. Let's be forward and honest with each other. Banks are not going to get screwed ever. Ever. Banks and government are buddies. They are number one buddies. If anything goes wrong, the government will just bail them out. It always bails them out. Every single time. So that's silly to even imagine that they're going to, but the banks are here. Not true. If the kids want to go bankrupt, we should allow them to go bankrupt if required. Now, I'm not saying that's the only answer, but right now they can't. Allow that as one option. Second option, there's got to be some type of agreement where the government's going to pay off a bit of that debt in some way, shape, or form. The whole thing, no. It is not fair. It's going to sound horrible, but I'm going to be very forward. It's not fair for the government to pay off all the debt. It's not fair. It's not fair for all of us as taxpayers to pay for a bunch of kids' college. And then here's the worst part. Kids who didn't go to college, they paid for this person's college. And the kid who actually busted his rump and worked through college and paid for his own college without debt, he just gets smacked in the face. So it's kind of unfair to just go, you know what, all your debt, gone. Terrible idea. On top of that, you've taught the kids nothing. So how about instead, we make the debt simply renegotiable. Renegotiable and allow them to go bankrupt if that is their only answer. I hope it isn't. I don't want people going bankrupt. But accept that as a possible and renegotiate where the government can take a piece of that off of their plate. And, as I said, stop from now on at all. Stop guaranteeing at all. If you weren't guaranteeing the debts, would the banks pay? Of course not. The banks will only support kids if they thought the kids were going to make money. So guess what? The degrees have to be valuable. If they're not valuable, they're not going to get loans because they're crappy degrees. Yeah, no laws have to be made. Nothing like that. No laws have to be made. We can get success for all by changing our environment to having better college, better trade school, happier people. But the most important piece is not so much damn debt. Lower pricing, more college, happier people. Not everybody in college, but people in the schools that are important to them. The most important piece to remember here is we're going to have people in this world right now, especially young people, they're going to have 5 different careers. Not 5 different jobs, 5 different careers. With that many careers, you might go to college 2 or 3 times in your life. 2 or 3 times in your life. It would also make colleges think something else. Online. We're seeing it now. We're seeing college now go online. Guess what that does? Make it cheaper. Yes, it does. This is an important piece. This idea can work to get people to have success for all. Success for all. Let me grab a couple questions again on this one. I'm trying to cover all the big issues, and there are so many. Bernie, I'll give him this. Bernie went down the list. Bernie had an answer for almost everything. So I had to come up with a whole bunch of answers to get those people to see that we are an answer. Because right now, they're not going to get any of that. They're going to get 0 of that. You're welcome, B. I'm trying to spread the word to the best of my ability. I appreciate that. Yes. Thank you, Res Libertarian. Keep going Libertarian. I want that. That'd be awesome. Thank you. Yes, I am actually talking about that. Yes, Dennis, this is another great point, right? If college wasn't subsidized, absolutely it'd be cheaper. It would have to be. Again, I just talked earlier about the medical world. That happened in medical, that would happen in education. Of course it would. How do you know that? Look at the people who, look at what's happened with schools that are online. Online schools have gotten cheaper. Of course. More and more and more. Trade schools, in my view, Pete, no difference. They're just as valuable, right? And you look at the world now, right? And I keep going back to my state. I know my state the best. I'm sure many of you in different states have a similar situation. You got a kid who's 18. He gets pushed into going to college because his parents tell him to go. His guidance counselor says it's the only way to go. Go to college. You're 16, 17, 18. Get ready. Take the tests. Take your SATs, whatever it is, and go to college. Guy goes to college. Guy's not really happy about going to college, but he goes anyway. Takes him 6 years to graduate because that's the norm. He doesn't get a job because why get a job? You're not supposed to. I'm going to school. He spent his last 2 years in high school smoking weed and playing video games in gym and study hall, so he's a terrible student. And it's just common. So the first year of college is 13th grade, just catching up. By the time he gets out, he's 24 years old, never had a job. And we wonder, why does he have no work ethic? Wonder why. Because he's never had a job since he's 24 years old. Of course, that's the reason why. Not just that, he can't get a job because his degree is useless. He doesn't have a good work ethic. You know, the interview's at 9. He shows up at 10:30. That's not a joke. I told this story once while I was campaigning about how people don't show up. One guy said, Larry, I will hire anybody with a work ethic. I don't care who it is. You got a work ethic? I'll hire you. I don't care. I'll train the rest. Another guy I told that story to, maybe a couple weeks later, he said, Larry's right. He said, I had 12 scheduled interviews last week. True story. It's go live if you care to look back at my Facebook page. Go live. This the guy goes, yeah, it's true. I had 12 appointments for interviews last week. 6 were no-shows. 4 were late. 2 out of 12 showed up on time. And one guy said, he goes, here's my interviewing process. I tell them the interview's at 8 o'clock. I open the door at 7:55. If they're there, they're hired. That's how it is. If they show up 5 minutes early, they're hired. So, yeah, there's something we said for work ethic. But anyway, so the guy's 24, can't get a job. So now he's 24 years old, $50,000 in debt, working at Starbucks. Wow. Okay, other guy, 16, 17, says, I don't like college. They say, go to college. I don't want to go to college. I'm going to trade school. And the guidance counselors will tell you. And in New York State, I don't know what your state is, but in New York State, the trade school part of high school is in most places called BOCES. That's what it's called. I forgot what that actually stands for. It's an acronym. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's called BOCES. So what the guidance counselor will often say is, don't go to BOCES. They're a trade school. That's for the dumb kids. This is for the mean kids. That's for the bad kids. They literally say these things. You're better than BOCES. You're better than that. They will tell the kids this, and make them feel like they're stupid or wrong or bad for not wanting to go to college. That is a common problem in my state. I'm assuming yours too. But that kid ignores them. He goes, I don't care. I want to be a plumber. I like working with my hands, man. What do you bother me? Kid goes, becomes a plumber. That kid's 24 years old. That kid has no debt, makes at least $75K a year. 24 years old, at least $75K a year, and has no debt. Who was the better, smarter kid? Yeah. So this is the issue. Trade schools, Pete, you're exactly right, just as good, without question. And the question I bring up all the time is, let's get the federal government out, bring it down to the lowest level, and here's what happens. Will there be mistakes locally? Yes, 100%. There'll be mistakes. But when one district makes an error, others can help. When the entire state makes an error, we all pay. In New York State, think about Common Core. What a disaster that was. The whole state paid. When it comes to the country, No Child Left Behind. What a disaster that was. How that hurt so many kids. So we lost a generation on that. We lost years of kids on that and on Common Core. Years of them destroyed. So if I go to a local level and one local guy goes, we're doing No Kid Left Behind, and that's a disaster, it's 1 year and one district. We can fix that. How do we fix years of this stuff? How do we fix it? Horrible. So yes, I want it definitely to be much more a better way, right? And oh yes, okay. Scam colleges. I'll go someplace else, Liam. How about the whole scam of college? Remember that? The rich people were paying for their kids to get into the big colleges. That should have been the reason why those parents went to jail and were arrested. I'll be very clear on this. Was not because they were bad. That shouldn't even have been illegal. I'll be very clear on this. They shouldn't have gone to jail at all. But Larry, they were bad. Yes. And that should have been a civil lawsuit of fraud for the college. That's not a criminal act. That's not a criminal act. They were following the rules of this back and forth. That's a civil situation. There's no reason to go to jail, but they had to. Because they had to make those people the bad guys. Because here's what that actually showed, more than anything else, that the whole system was a sham. Let me explain why it was a sham. These kids got into college even though they didn't have the best grades. Even though they didn't have the best tests. What does that mean? The tests are useless. That's the point. The tests don't actually matter. All that stress, all that horrible push meant nothing. Not just that. They survived just fine in these hard schools. What does it mean? The schools are bullshit too. The whole system's a scam. Do you think it's the first time that's happened? That's been happening for how many decades? That's been happening? The whole thing is a scam. If the colleges were worth something, then those kids would fail out. They don't. And people getting out would all have good jobs. They don't. So, yes, people do go to college because their parents want them to. Sadly, for many of these people, their parents still live in the world where they think that's the answer. And it isn't always the answer. It can be. Again, it isn't always. The issue is it is absolutely based upon what the kid wants. I want the kids to be happy. I want you to get out of college going, I'm glad I went. It gave me what I wanted, whatever that is. And again, I'm not against people tease all the time. They're going to get a degree in liberal arts or they're going to get a degree in literature. If that's what you wanted, that's the right answer. If you get what you wanted out of college and you're happy and satisfied, well done. I don't care what your degree is in. I've always said this, and I still say it. The goal is to make you happy. So I want success, and success is you being happy. Yes. All right. So yes, measure of cost, 100%. I'm going to go through this if I could. The next piece I want to bring up. Yeah. Thank you, Lynn. Some people paid that up on their own, and we're just going to give it all away? In fact, here's the best part. You're going to pay taxes so you can pay somebody else's debt off? I guess the other answer is just crank out more money. I mean, we've been doing that forever, so crank some more money out. But that's my point, right? I wish we wouldn't. But I think we're going, The argument against allowing people to go bankrupt or renegotiating debt is, well, now you're screwing the banks over and they're going to punish others. No, they won't. We'll just crank up more money. The Fed will give them more money. I hate it, but you know what's going to happen. So at one point, it's how it works. Excuse me. And I would absolutely rather, if at all possible, I would absolutely rather say, let's get you and me in a better spot. We'll deal with the banks later. So, oh my God, I have somebody who remembers me from Scotty's Diner. Wow. Okay, there we go. By the way, as you may not know, Scotty's Diner is a great diner in North Country, New York State. So if you're up there in North Country, New York State, you can stop by Scotty's Diner. Please do so. I was there. Thank you so much. I'm glad you remember me. It's amazing. I'm so happy. All right. It's also amazing how many of my friends that are struggling with their working lives but love the degrees but are seeking loan forgiveness as well. A lot of Bernie supporters, but across the spectrum. Yeah, this is an issue. Did they go to college because they wanted an experience, or did they go to college because they thought it would get them a job? I'm actually okay with either of those, but they should have known that in advance and decided on a loan based upon that, and the bank should have given them a loan based upon that. The odds of the bank giving you a loan on a degree that is not going to get you much is slim, which means probably what will happen. The price of those degrees will come down, right? So if I want a degree on, I want a degree in, liberal arts, I'll make that up again, and because I enjoy it, and I want to have that kind of degree, it'll probably be cheaper because banks aren't going to give loans for that kind of degree, but it'll be cheaper so I can go get one. So I want to have that kind of degree. I'll pay less money. I probably won't have that much debt, and I'll be able to enjoy my college environment because that's what I want. And I'm okay with that. Again, I'm okay with any of those things as long as I know what's happening in advance. That is my issue in advance. All right. I want to touch another piece if I could. I mean, there are so many pieces for me to touch with this. I want to touch kind of a hot button. I hope that was with the college idea. I hope that was clear in getting success for college. I want to, if I can, also touch the idea of workplace, what he calls workplace democracy, right? The idea of making everyone treated equally at work. There is a big problem with this concept, and that is it's still looking at an industrial model. The industrial model of someone getting a job in a big company, keeping that job for 40 years. That environment doesn't work. Workplace democracy has to change. It has to shift. It has to shift because the environment shifted. The gig economy is real, and we saw it collapse, and we're seeing it collapse right now. The gig economy is collapsing right now. We see it. And that was a big part. A big part of our economy was the millennials in a gig economy. If those of you know what gig economy means, it means you're in a job for a short period of time, doing something on the side here or there, project-based, things like that, right? I'm going to be the marketing manager for a small startup company for 6 months, 3 days a week for, $5,000 total. So that's a gig economy. Or I'm going to do Uber, or I'm going to do Fiverr, or whatever. That's the gig economy. The issue with that is that's a lot of Americans. You might say, well, Larry, that's bad. We have to stop that. And if you're our very ignorant governor in New York State, you want to destroy the gig economy, which is exactly the wrong answer. It's a terrible idea. It's going to ruin our entire state. It already is. His ideas are crushing our state already, and it's going to get even worse. I don't want to end the gig economy. And one of the reasons why is, as I mentioned earlier, the average person is going to have 5 different careers in their life. How do you change careers? Very often, it's the gig economy. I take on a new position, a new job at a lower rate just to learn and get something. And then I shift into that with a higher price, higher value because I'm now better at it. I've learned something. I move on. Not just that. How does a startup get up and running? Startups need high technology, high skill sets. I can't afford as a startup to pay some guy or gal. She's amazing and she has awesome skills and talent. I got to pay her $200,000 a year. I can't afford that. I'm a startup. But I can afford her part-time here or there in the gig economy environment. I can. And I can share her with 2 or 3 other entrepreneurs. And we all can get couple hours of her work here, a couple hours of her work there. Gig economy. That's how we grow new businesses. Gig economy is exactly the right answer for our economy and how things move. So you can't just go workplace democracy. What I would say is I want workplace fairness. Absolutely. Fairness. You can't just go, everybody deserves. How do you, if you're that gig economy person, if you're that small business owner, what's fair for you? How does that work? It can't. So what I want is fairness. I want every single person to feel fairly treated. That's what the law should be. Fairly treated. This is the critical aspect. The more you create rules and regulations on this, the more things are going to be harder, because here's the worst part. Here's the response to all these things. Every time you make hiring an employee harder, forcing them to pay this, forcing them to pay that, making everybody become an employee, what happens is less people get hired. How do you know that, right? You're making it up, Larry. No. Look in your own world. Look at the amount of people who are over 50 who are basically, once they lose their job, unemployable. I know that didn't sound good. It didn't feel good when I said it. But you know it. If you know people, they're basically unemployable. People aren't going to employ them anymore. Why? They're afraid. Yeah, they're afraid. Hard to hire someone over 50 now. Difficult. The age discrimination that I've seen in my city, particularly in New York City, is literally embarrassing. Like, to say it, I'm embarrassed. And when I say it to some people, they go, they can't do that. It's against the law. They don't care. They have two choices. Hire someone and get crushed by lawsuit, by everything they think is going to happen, by everything, or pay some fine if they get caught. They'll pay some fine if they get caught. That's how it actually works. So I want to make sure that we have an environment where everyone is treated as fairly as possible, to include gig economy, to include those over 50, to include those who are part-time, all those things. It should be clear and open and fair. Larry, what about unions? I'm not anti-union. I've never been. People always assume you libertarians hate unions. No, unions are literally part of the First Amendment. Unions are freedom of speech along with freedom of association together. That's what they are. How can I be anti-union? It's in the First Amendment. Of course, and people have a right, if they want to collectively bargain, they should. Of course. But the issue becomes, Larry, are they a union shop or a non-union shop? This is my problem. This is my problem. That shouldn't be a thing. Unions should be allowed to organize in any organization, and anyone should be able to say, I don't want to be part of a union. But Larry, then there'll be different contracts. Okay, what's the problem? But he'll only get $12 an hour and we'll get 20. Then he can join your union, can't he? He can join your union. If he wants to, he can join. But he doesn't like a union. Well, then your union sucks. Be a better union. It literally is that simple. I know it sounds crazy. Unions don't require government support, and unions shouldn't need individuals to have to join them. If they're good, they'll join. The best part is what you'll probably find is multiple unions. There'll be unions that are special for families, unions for people who are younger, unions for people who care about health care, whatever. They'll have all those different things. In fact, unions could do health care. Of course they could. Absolutely. No worries. You can join unions as you like. My issue is only one thing. Government shouldn't be involved. It doesn't have to be involved. But then unions are going to have problems. I don't see that at all. Unions are having problems now. They're having problems now. They'll get better if you don't have to fight them. They just work. People deserve the collective bargain if they want to, or not. And if one person gets... There's a difference between fairness and equality. The difference. Under the law, we should all be treated equally. Absolutely no question. No question about that. When it comes to work, we want to be treated fairly. Fairly doesn't mean equally. Doesn't. Different people have different value, have different needs, have different everything. So allow unions to treat their people the way they want to, and you join the union that works for you. That's fair. Collective bargaining is a good thing. I like this completely. You want to help people? I have an idea. Lower payroll tax to get more people to get hired. How about that? Lower those things, get more people hired. Allow people to have as many jobs as possible they want to have. Let them. Why are we fighting them? Why are we making it hard for someone to hire somebody? I do coaching here in New York City for a lot of small businesses. And when a business gets big enough, so they have, say, 2 partners, and now they're going to hire somebody. The second they hire somebody, I go, great, now the punishment begins. And they go, what? Yeah, now your punishment begins. What you're going to get from New York State, which is how it works in my state, I'm sure in yours too, is all of a sudden a bunch of letters saying, you owe them for this, you owe them for that, you owe them for this, you owe them for that. There's no tomorrow. Punishment begins. They punish people for hiring people. Why in the world would you want a workplace like that? What I want is fairness in the workplace. Each person negotiating either through a union or themselves for their own contracts the way they want it. What will begin to happen? Will begin to happen. This is what's going to happen eventually. We'll start having better contracts. That's what's going to happen. People will be treated better because they'll have better contracts. Right now, everybody is simply waiting for someone else to help them. That's all they're waiting for. Here's the reality. I'll give you an example of this. What would happen if all of a sudden, the United States government says, no such thing as minimum wage. No such thing. You can pay somebody $2 an hour if you wanted to. All of a sudden it happens. Would everybody all of a sudden say, oh, great, now you're all paid $2 an hour? Is that what would happen? Of course not. Society has already said, just by our talking, that $15 an hour is the appropriate minimum wage. It's already happened. That's what society says. All of us as humans who are hourly workers, right? If you're an hourly worker, you measure it directly against $15 an hour in your head anyway. It's what you do. You measure it against $15 an hour. If you make 11 or 12 bucks an hour, you think to yourself, I'm going to make 11 or 12 bucks an hour. Why? Because it's lower than 15. That's how you think. That's how we all think. It's not good enough. If you make 17, you go, I make 17. It's not bad. Better than 15. That's how we think. Minimum wage or not. Society begins to create its own natural minimum wage. That happens already. And the more we begin to talk about it and make it work, the more we begin to deal with this and say labor is important, value is important, what I'm doing is important, and that negotiation goes back and forth, we want people to negotiate better. When they respect each other, it's a whole lot harder to harass somebody, to disrespect somebody, to be mean to somebody when you respect them. Can people do it? Of course. And some people will. Whole lot harder when you actually have respect. And that's the key. I want a respectful, fair workplace. And everything we do should be about that. Supporting unions, absolutely. Supporting individuals who don't want to work for unions. Okay, good for you, man. I hope you got the answer. Good for you. No worries. Multiple unions. All good. And allowing people to hire as many as they want and to not force people to be employees. Don't force them. There's a place for employees in our world. There's also a place for gig economy, and it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Those people who are being successful realize something. The value of labor is going down. The value of impact is going up. The value of presenting value is going up. Why is labor going down? Because machines give that labor. I can hire arms and legs from across the sea. Different issues. So that's what we have to work. All right, let me grab some. I'm grabbing a lot, I know. Let me start grabbing some of these questions and comments here so I can get some of these. Okay. I'm clear person between 36 and 40. Oh, okay, for the government, right? Gotcha. Sorry, I went the wrong way. Okay. Would you be open to allowing the creation of an independent organization of local communities with the power to investigate potential scam fake schools? Of course. Of course. The reason why Trump University went under wasn't because of the lawsuit. I mean, that was a big deal. But it was because people learned about it, right? It became a thing. People got worried, and then the lawsuit. The government followed, people figuring it out. So yeah, of course, shine a light on these things, they begin to go away. I mean, that's how it works. You shine a light, and it starts to go away. So I'm a product of the trades. Took a job at a prominent university. salary was reduced to the tuition benefit. Why is it I have to fill out a FAFSA form? I'm sorry, I'm not sure what a FAFSA form is. My employer gets Fed money. Of course, yes, absolutely. Federal money. Thank you, Andrew, for that. Yes, without question. I keep saying this. Let's get the federal government out. Why does the federal government care about what you're doing right now? It makes no sense. Of course they shouldn't. Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. Shifting the paradigm is exactly the answer, right? This is what I really want to do. Absolutely. Uber is collecting data on every drive to essentially replace that at least half of them with self-driving cars. I think you're right, Dennis, and that's my point. Labor is becoming less and less valuable, right? Even in driving, right? It's becoming less and less valuable. Look at the kiosks in all the stores, right? Being a clerk in a store is becoming less and less valuable. That's the future. You can be mad at it if you want to, or we can prepare for it. And that's what I'm trying to say. We can prepare for it. If we go backward and try to force workplace rules and regulations to force, Uber can't do that. Uber has to keep this. Uber must. Uber will either leave, it'll get around the regulations, or other countries will have better systems than us. Lose, lose, lose. Instead, understand what's happening and prepare for it. That's the issue. Prepare for it. It's inevitable. Of course it's going to happen. So, I love this issue. Allow startups so they can pay stock options to employees. Love that idea. Dan, love that. Great idea, right? I've always said that the stock market shouldn't be run by the SEC. It should be run by a gaming commission. Yeah, the gaming commission would be fairer. The stock market is basically a casino anyway, so let it be run by a gaming commission. It's much fairer in Las Vegas than it is in Wall Street or in the New York Stock Exchange. Much fairer, right? At least you know in Vegas what your odds are. You know what they are. They have to be posted. And the house always wins. It's obvious. The house always wins in New York Stock Exchange also, but we act like they don't, but they all do. And at least the odds would be clear. You have to post odds. So I love that idea. Let's get a gaming commission and have the regulations for let them do that. I love that idea. Okay, the new models. I don't know that new model. I apologize for that. All right. The federal government rid of the regulations and can't hire people for positions. Ironically, they will hire all the people. That's true, and be clear about that. This is the sad part that most people don't get. For you libertarians out there that are so much about cutting government, destroying government, there's something to realize about government. It is a massive jobs program. Some hardcore libertarians will get mad at me. They will go, oh, the government doesn't create jobs. Yes, it does. Literally millions of them. 1 in 7 Americans works for the government. Yeah, that's not a real job. Pays their bills, put their kid through college. Yeah, it does. Bought them a house. Yeah, it does. Absolutely a job. 1 in 7 Americans. So the government is a huge, huge jobs program. You can't just end it. You put people out of work. Why would you vote against your own job? It's a great point, and they will. And I know I've worked for the government before. I've trained them. Their hiring practices are terrible. One of the reasons why you have so many horrible experiences with employees in the government is they will hire anybody. And most people aren't bad. It isn't that they're hiring bad people. The problem is most bad employees, not all, but the vast majority of bad employees aren't actually bad employees. They're in the wrong job. That's the problem. They're in the wrong job. So you get guy A or gal A who would be good in this job. She's in this job. She's unhappy. Why'd she take it? Because the government said yes. They'll hire virtually anybody for almost anything. When you're looking for a government job, they're looking for checking a box. And is there a way I can hire you because I don't want to think that I'm discriminating. So check a box, you're in. That's how most government jobs work. Now, in theory, you think that's great. You give people jobs. It's bad. They're in wrong jobs. People who are desperate for work will take a government job because it's a good, safe job. And I don't blame them. I would do it too. Right? I'm not blaming that person. I would do it too. You got to pay your bills. I get it. You got to pay your bills. You got to live. That's a job. They're hiring. I'm in. But the problem is that job becomes so good, I don't want to leave. But it's a job I don't really like. It's a job I'm not really good at. I shouldn't be in that job. I'm going to be a bad employee. I shouldn't be in that job. I don't even like it. And I got 3 people next to me who are exactly the same, who are in the wrong job. And I got one guy or gal who's in the right job and happy as can be. She hates us. We hate her. Of course this is going to be a bad environment. That's one of the issues you have with government work, right? If it was actually harder for them to hire people, they'd find the right people for the right jobs much more often. Very often they don't. And again, it's not that they're trying to do the bad thing or the people are bad. They're in bad jobs and wrong jobs. Find how many people are unhappy, right? There's a reason why there was a saying, going postal. That wasn't just because. There was a reason behind that. All right. Yeah, unions do get attacked. And I don't like the idea, right? Unions can be good and bad, absolutely. But as long as the government is not controlling them, then consumers, in this case the employees, they decide. Then that's right. They decide if it's a good union or not. If they don't show up to the unions, don't pay union dues, the union's not doing a good job. It's got to change and support its people effectively. If it does, more people join that union. If you only have one union or not, that's bad. Imagine if all big companies had 2 different unions or the option to be no union. You'd have better unions. Of course you would. Of course you would. Well, what if one union wants to strike and the other doesn't? Well, then it better be a bigger union, huh? In which case, it better be a good union that people want to spend their money on because it's providing value for them. Absolutely. Yes. All right. See if I grab a couple more if I could. Thank you, Teamster. I appreciate that. Yes. Awesome. All right. I said you're running for VP, which is the bike. Yes. I am running with the Honorable Judge Jim Gray. For those of you who care, if you care, you can go to graysharp2020.com. Enjoy. So let's see if I can grab some more here. Thank you for so many of these. I'm 100% opposed to this minimum wage nonsense. Actually, I am too. And I'll tell you why I don't like minimum wage, right? Michael agrees. He's against that minimum wage. Michael's on the same page as you, Dan. Yes, we want to get rid of minimum wage. And the reason is not because I don't want people to have high value. The problem is now you're valuing it. The government is saying by default, your 1 hour is worth $15. No, it isn't. It's worth whatever the 2 people agree it's worth. That's what it's actually worth. $15 an hour? Then you start doing the exact wrong thing, which is, you owe me, boss. Why? I was here. I showed up for 8 hours. Yeah, but you did nothing but destroy my business and make things bad. Yeah, but I was here for 8 hours. That's the thought process. So I don't have to actually do anything that provides value for the organization. I have to show up. Showing up is all that matters. It's all that matters. It's a bad environment. But not just that. Now you hear all the time, you're getting $15 an hour. Why are you complaining? Literally, if you've worked, particularly retail, if you've worked retail, you have heard your boss say whatever the minimum wage was at the time, whether it was $8 or $9 or $20, whatever the minimum wage was in your area at that time. They simply said, whatever. Say minimum wage was $7 when the time came, and they went, you're getting $7.25 an hour. Why are you complaining? That was his argument. And your argument was, because he was right. Minimum wage allows the government to decide what human value is. I'm not okay with that. I'm not okay with that. So thank you. Appreciate that, of course. Yes. All right. Yes. And the place of the jobs. Absolutely, guys. The cost of living will sometimes go down. Will go up, I'm sorry, which makes everything even harder. So, all right. I picked up 4 different pieces. There are lots more to do. I can't cover any more right now. So I want to say thank you for all of you who are here. Please, please do me a favor. Go on Facebook, Sharpe Way. Go on Twitter, Sharpe Way. Go on YouTube, Sharpe Way. Click, please. Let your friends know. If you know Bernie supporters, have them watch this. Have them go through this. Look at this. I hope I gave good ideas, good concepts that, look, if you're a Bernie supporter, you can vote Libertarian and get what you want. Won't be perfect. It'll be better than Trump and better than Biden. It'll be better than both. If you are a Bernie supporter, it's better than Biden, better than Trump for you if you're a Bernie supporter. We have stuff for you here that's no extra taxes, no extra laws, and you get the things you want. Success for all, quality health care for all, cleaner, safer, fairer environmental justice, a fairer, safer workplace, which is what you're looking for. You can get all of that here. Libertarian Party has that for you. So guys, if you have enough cash, do me a favor, support. Head over to patreon.com/Sharpe Way. This costs money and time to do. So help me out. Throw me 10, 20 bucks, 50 bucks, whatever you got. If you got it. If not, no worries. You don't have to. Share, comment, like. That's all free. Costs you nothing. Help me out. All right, guys. Have a great night. I'll see you guys in a couple of days.